Do this today. Change these settings, these options, and these loadouts right now. This will better your overall experience in the game, whether you play PvE or PvP, it doesn't matter. I am also going to show you hidden options and settings that even I don't use, but I still know about. Now, this is going to be a full updated guide for 2025, and this will go over all the different settings and options and loadouts that are in the game. I hope that you learn something or find this, entertaining. And, well, like we always say, grab the popcorn. Here we go. What's going on, YouTube? Kamikazevondoom here with another Division 2 video. So sit back, relax, grab that popcorn. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. But that's right, 2025 guide, options, settings, and more. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, the first one I want to go over is your inventory options and settings. So right here. Now, to get to this option and setting, what you do is you are in your main menu. You click on inventory. You go to any of your gear items, click on it, and then you can see in the bottom right where it says options. So you click on options, and there you go. These are your inventory options. Now, this is where you can change your inventory look, do it like this. You could change it back from grid to list like that. Pretty cool. You can turn on normalized stats for PvP. You can even show base numbers. You can even show your specialization or your signature weapon or not. And you could turn off your mask and turn it back on. Not only that, but then you can sort your inventory through what is most recent, what you are having, brand new that you just picked up, or you could have it to where it's the highest level or what you're trying to get rid of, your junk, things like that. The inventory options is a hidden feature that a lot of people don't use. I constantly tell people, hey man, if you hide your signature weapon, it won't look so bulky on your backpack. Hey man, people might not see you in cover if you hide that huge, gunner specialization off your shoulder. Things like that. I mean, here. If I turn it on, all of a sudden you can see on my bag, there's a whole other thing added to my backpack. It looks very, very bulky, almost like a Ghostbusters type of bag. But if I go back into my inventory options and turn it off, you can see it's gone and it looks a lot cleaner, right? Next up, you have your mask. A lot of people like to use that with the coyotes, so let me show you. So if you go to your inventory options, right? So again, go to any of your gear items, click on it, go to options, and then you can click always show mask. You can click that on, right? And now if I take off my apparel mask, you can see my coyote mask. Check that out. Not only that, but it works for all of them. So here's the catharsis, here's the vial, here's the future initiative, all of them. And then you can change it to whatever it is you want. Pretty cool, right? Not bad. Not bad at all. Now, a lot of people like to mix and match or use that catharsis. That was a big one whenever that option came out. The catharsis and the coyotes were the two big masks that a lot of people were changing. So you have that. Not only that, but the normalized stats. So turning on the normalized stats, you can see you have this blue overlay on your build. And this is what you would see in the dark zone or conflict. And this is how you can see your numbers and how they would reflect in those parts of the game, right? And these are all a part of your inventory options. Now, I do not want to always show mask. I do not want the signature weapon to show. I do not show base damage, and I do not have normalized stats. And for the gear, I have it sorted by new. That way, whenever I pick up new items, it automatically has it near the top. That way, I can either choose to keep it or deconstruct it. Now, for me personally, for the inventory view, I go with the list view, not the grid. I know a lot of people prefer the grid view, but I don't. I actually go with the list. Okay? Very cool. Now, those are your inventory options. Next up, let's talk. So we also talked about the PvP options right there. Now let's talk about, well, let's go to the firing range. That way we can show all of these options while we talk about them. Because now we're going to go to the normal settings. And to do so, we'll come over here to the firing range. That way I can explain them in full. Okay. And we'll keep the enemy close to us. All right, so going to our settings, pretty simple. Starting with our network stats. A lot of people don't know this, but if you go to your settings and then you just toggle over to your network stats, you'll be able to see your ping, your packet loss, your latency, all this crap. So if you think you're really lagging, if you know what your connection issue or connection info normally is, you can monitor it, and then if you are lagging, you can check it and, compare and contrast. So from network stats over to your settings, we're going to start with the gameplay settings. Now, I do not have the vault indicators or cover indicators on. That will typically show on all the boxes and walls and everywhere the exact position that you can be in to either vault over or take cover. I don't have them on. I can typically see, what objects are going to be able to, hide behind or jump over without the game telling me. The next thing is on-call status. I typically have this on none unless I am doing some sort of like a shepherding event or trying to help out people. Because if you have this on, it will constantly tell you at all times when people nearby are asking for help, when people on your friends list, on your clans list, everybody, it will tell you all of the time when people are calling for backup, because this is your on-call status. Think of it like, people that work, at the hospital or something, and they're doing like a overnight shift and they're on call, so they have their pager or whatever. This will tell you at all times if someone needs help, and it'll just go ahead and call you. As far as the hints, I have the hints turned off, but if you are new to the game, you could have the hints turned on, and that will help you. I do have show damage numbers. I want to see when I'm critting and when I'm not critting. A lot of people choose to just turn it off and just play the game without seeing any of those damage numbers. But for me personally, it does help out my overall experience because I can see if my build is messed up or not, or if I need to fix something in certain areas. I do have show radar, I do have show connectivity, and I do have show player level. Now going down here, the auto group refill, this is when you're matchmaking and someone were to dip out, it will automatically matchmake again. Some people prefer to not have this active, but I go ahead and have it on because if I am already matchmaking, then I typically do want a full group. So if someone were to delta or what have you, I do want more people in there. Now, something a lot of people do not have is the show skills on group and show numeric skill cooldown time. Both of these I have turned on. That way you can see, hey man, you're not running a hive, you're running a drone. Oh man, I can see your drone's on cooldown. You will be able to see all of that with this. Not only that, but it will also give you a countdown to certain cooldowns. So if it's starting to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all right, you got your skill back, let's go. Things like that. I definitely have those on. The GPS line, I actually have off right now, but you can turn it on if you're trying to find a certain part of the map. It'll give you that whole line and arrow, but I have shown time and time again that this GPS line is messed up in certain parts of the map, so I don't really trust it all that well. I typically have it off. Now here's the first big one. Additional field of vision. Have this one maxed out. But if you are playing the game at 0 in 0, then I would highly recommend that you do this in 5 to 10 increments. Maybe 5, to where you just bump this up 5 at a time. Try it out at this one, then bump it up to 10, then bump it up to 15, then bump it up to 20, and then finally go all the way up to 25. The reason for that, if you go from 0 to 25, it might give you a headache. This does change the way you see the game. It'll kind of zoom out a little bit, your depth perception, for sure. It helps me with, I don't know, looking around corners, moving, seeing things from further away, stuff like that. I really do dig it a lot and highly recommend. I did have to do it in increments. I think I did it like 10, 20, and then I finally went from 20 to 25. It wasn't that bad, and I highly recommend everyone do that. The motion sickness I have turned off, and the HUD tutorials I have turned off because sometimes those HUD tutorials will pop up even while you're in combat, and the enemies can take you out while those HUD tutorials are trying to teach you something. Next up, let's go to the UI changes. So custom HUD, this is a big one a lot of people use. They'll change the size of their map. You can see I can make my map ridiculously big. I can make my map ridiculously small. A lot of people just keep it here in the left, and some people will keep it down here in the middle or on the right. But what I do is I'll typically just make it a little bit bigger than normal. That's what she said. And then just put it right there in the top left corner. For everything else, I actually make them smaller. I'll make my XP bar smaller than normal. I'll make my friends smaller than normal. I'll make all of this smaller. And then I'll just keep my map up a little bit bigger. That's it. That's how I do my custom HUD. Obviously, you can do your custom HUD however you feel fit. I'm just showing you what I do. Now, next up, we have the combat text, the scrolling combat text. Now, the reason for that is a lot of people ask me about this setting. So you typically see your damage numbers like this, where you're shooting an enemy and you just see random damage numbers, right? And when you see it like that, I would typically want to turn it off because it looks annoying. It looks really weird. It's like all up on my enemies, and it kind of blocks my vision of the enemy, right? So what I do instead, and then here, I'll show you just right here in front of us. So you can see those numbers, they're just all over the enemy. It's like in front of my indicators. It's just weird. I don't like that. What I typically do for the UI setting, scrolling combat text, I have it on floating. This is a setting that I get asked about all the time. I have it on floating, and then that way when you shoot an enemy, your numbers are just right there to the right. And you can see all the numbers nice and neat right there next to you. That way the numbers are not on top of the enemy. It's not blocking your field of view, nothing. The numbers are out to the right, out of the way, and you can, sit there and keep track of what kind of damage output you're doing. Super cool, super effective. Next up for the raid speedrun UI, I would typically have that one off unless you are doing a lot of speedruns for the raid, because there's no real reason to have this on. And everywhere else that you see the speedrun UI, it's typically broken, especially in like Countdown and things like that. Let's see. That is it for the UI settings. Let's go to the audio settings. Audio settings, there's a few in here that are pretty big. The music I have turned way down low. I'll even turn it down, probably even lower, because I don't want to get hit with any sort of copyright, and Ubisoft is hit and miss with their copyright in their music. Now, another thing is the controls. So the sensitivity for the controls maxed out, both of them, the camera and the aim. I do not touch the scoped sensitivity because that's for, scoped in weapons, and I'm not really using those too much. But for the camera and the aim sensitivity, I highly recommend working your way up to max. Because if you get shot in the back, right? That's the difference between like turning around and taking them out, or you slowly turning around and then dying. It's truly like that. Or your movement, just your overall movement, your turning, your everything. It makes life so much easier, and it makes your reaction time very fast if you increase those sensitivity numbers. But I would not touch the scoped in sensitivity at all. For controller vibration, I have that on off. I don't need that at all. And in fact, I think that would do nothing but distract you. All right. So have that turned off, and it's less wear and tear on your hands, things like that. For the dead zone, I have these at 0. But if you have if you have like a controller that's like 5 years old, or you have kids, or you have like a dog that likes to bite your controllers or whatnot, you might have stick drift, right? Where if you're just standing here and you take your hands off the controller, your camera might do like something like this, or maybe like your character might slowly move to a certain way. And that's because of stick drift. That means your controller is actually kind of broken. What I would do is say get a new controller, because what you want is you want your dead zone at 0. That way it's reading every input that you are giving to the controller at the fastest possible moment. Now, going back to the controls, you have your dead zones at 0, unless you have stick drift. And I think that might be it down here. Yeah, all right. So that's it under controls. For graphics, this is completely whatever you want. It doesn't matter. You could go neutral lighting. I mean, some people like that. I have it off for some reason. I also have sharpening up a little bit. I have my brightness up, things like that. Nothing too crazy. Here's a big one right here, VoIP. So this is when you're talking to other people, and if you ever watch my live streams, you'll see that I talk to a lot of people, and some of them have crazy, crazy voice boost on their settings. Now, what is that? So it's under your VoIP settings, and it's right here, your microphone input. So you could have this volume boost up to 20, 25 maybe, but a lot of people have it way up here to 100. So whenever they're talking, it sounds like they're in like a freaking, I don't know, it's like, hey guys, and it's like, dude, we can't hear you, dude. Take the mic out of your throat, man. Like, what is going on? Can you whisper, please? Stop yelling at me. And then they're like, yo, I'm just whispering. And it's like, bro, turn down your volume boost. And they're like, oh, hey, I fixed it. And it's like, yeah, dude, you're good. A lot of people don't know about this. So if you're talking to people through the game chat or what have you, make sure your volume boost is low. You don't want to boost your volume way too low or way too high unless you typically whisper or something. Now, as far as the microphone input, this is up to you. If you have one of those whistling noses, if you like to, Darth Vader your mic, if you are one of those heavy breathers, you might want your input a little bit higher. That way, your mic doesn't go off unless you're actually talking. Because if you have your input threshold way down like this, even if you are breathing, they can hear you. So I typically recommend about 25 to 30 on the input. That way you can breathe and people aren't like, yo, dude, are you okay? Like, what's wrong? Things like that. And then the volume boost, this will help keep you from sounding like you're, using a megaphone to talk. Okay. Going down to the accessibility. Now, this one does have a hidden setting that I've never talked about until today's video, just so you know. I typically stayed away from it because I don't personally use it, but I will tell everyone about it in today's video. And when we get to it, I'll let you know. But starting off at the top with the accessibility settings, I do have the large chat. I prefer the larger chat. For the high contrast, I prefer the high contrast as well. I also use the on-screen keyboard. This is where I talk to people and say GGs and things like that. Even when I'm not using my headset, I just hit down on the D-pad, I can type and just say, hey guys, GGs. As far as the other settings, For the subtitles, I go medium. I do have contrast on there as well, and I go colored just to show different people talking at different points. Now let's talk about the setting and the colorblind whole PvP thing. All right. So if I use my hive, you can see this looks like a normal hive, right? This is what everyone typically sees. You just see the green outline and it shows you where I throw the hive. If I were to use my chem, you can see the outline of the chem. It's all green, right? Everything is green. This is what typically you would see on your settings. Now, if I were to change the colorblind setting to anything, it could be any of these. If I change the colorblind setting at all, look at what it does to my skills. Now you can see the exact range, the exact middle, everything of your skill. Look at that. You can see the entirety. You see that? It completely changes the way your skills look. And then if I use my chem, check this out. See, now it shows the entire, radius. It shows everything. That way you can see exactly where it's going to drop. Nice, right? A lot of people use that because in PvP, say PvP, right? You see how it's on the ground and it shows the white outline? It will show that in PvP. So if an enemy is throwing a hive or something, it will show you the outline if you change your colorblind settings. Now, same, you see with my chem, you can see the white outline. And that is all due to the colorblind setting. Pretty cool. I personally do not use the colorblind setting because that messes with, you can see, it messes with the way you look at your gear set items. Now they're blue. I don't like that. I don't mess with that. Because normally, if you have your colorblind setting off, this is how they look. They're green. But once you start messing with the colorblind settings, it'll mess with all of those colors for your gear set items and everything like that. All right. Let's see. We are working our way down. That was it for the accessibility. And then for language, this is if you are, in Duolingo, you could have your subtitles and things to a different language. I have it all on default. It doesn't matter to me personally. And that's it for your normal settings. Now, you do have new apparel settings. This is your new apparel menu. This is how everyone changes all of their outfits now. And you have loadouts. So you can change your outfit on the fly. Say I want to be a toy soldier. Boom, I'm a toy soldier. Say I'm about to do a video. Boom, I got my outfit on. Say I want to go break dance. Boom, I got my break dance outfit on. Look at that. Pretty cool, right? Now, that is all due to your loadout that is added to your apparel menu. So you can see in the bottom right of your screen where it says back. Right next to it, it says loadouts. And then you have your own apparel loadout. You can change and do, let's see, how many? You can do 16 apparel loadouts. I had no idea. Pretty cool. So I might do that just to do it and just have 16 different loadouts. That's pretty funny for your different outfits. Nice. All right. Now, let's go ahead, get rid of all of those. There we go. All right. Now, your new apparel settings. These are for all new bundles, all new outfits, all new skins that enter the game. You will now have them under these new categories. However, for your old appearance mods, the appearance mods are only for the gear items and high-end items in the game. All of your new outfits and bundles and skins and everything will go to the apparel menu. Now, another thing is under your apparel menu, you can click on any of these items and you can actually click the dye and change the colors of them. See? Pretty cool, right? And you can do this for all of them. So here's the gloves, and that's if you have, some that you can change the colors with. But look at this. Even the baby face, you can change the dyes on all of them. Pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. I'm digging it. Now, let's see what else in the apparel menu. I think that might be it. That is new. They did add the holsters here at the bottom, and then they switched all of the bundles and everything to be in these options. Now, as far as any other options, I think that might be it. We went over the inventory options. We went over our overall settings. I showed you the apparel menu and the apparel loadouts. I think that is it, everybody. Now, another thing. No, I think that's it. All right, I'm out. That is it for me. Full 2025 guide. I was trying to think if there's anything left to talk about, but I'm pretty sure that's it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below about any sort of option settings or loadouts that you might not know about. I am Kamikazevondoom. Take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. All right? Peace out.